Bob Chapman, who sadly passed away a month or so ago, longtime insider. Maybe you followed some of his writing, Paul. He said he predicted years ago that this is coming to a bad ending, and more recently, he said, like anybody would, you can't predict timing-wise when something will happen. But his best guess was we're coming to a crash sometime between. He gave himself a lot of leeway. Sometime between later this year and 2017, and I've quoted him a couple of times on that. Again, this stuff can only go on so long. The famous Herb Stein quote that you remember, things that can't go on forever won't, and this won't.
No, it won't. If you look at the situation with the economy, there can be no recovery because there's no income. When you offshore the well-paying middle-class jobs, manufacturing and professional services such as software engineering, research, design, when you offshore those in order to increase the short-term profits of the corporations, you are taking consumer income and consumer purchasing power out of the United States and putting it in China or wherever you've offshored to. And the replacement jobs here for these manufacturing and professional service jobs that used to be careers for university graduates, the replacement jobs are waitresses, bartenders, ambulatory healthcare services, and social assistants, things that are lowly paid. So what you do with offshoring is you replace a higher paid population with a lower paid population, and so consumer demand in the economy goes down, and therefore one of the driving forces of the economy is weakened or even done away with. And then you come in on top of that and you say, okay, now we're going to make sure that the retirees don't have any income because we're going to have zero interest rates or near zero interest rates, at least negative interest rates, that is, interest rates below the rate of inflation. And so retirees can't get any income off of their savings. And so they have to spend their savings. That is, they have to eat their seed corn. They have to spend their capital that they intended to live off the income it would generate through interest, because retirees, for the most part, don't like the risk of stock markets, because if a stock market crashes and goes down 30 or 40% and you lost it, it takes so long to regain that you're too old, and it just seriously impacts your ability to survive economically. So they try to get interest. Well, the interest rate on a CD is what, like 1/10 of 1 percentage point.
Virtually nothing.
It's nothing. The interest rate on a 10-year Treasury bond now is 1.6%. Well, the official inflation rate is 2%. The unofficial inflation rate, if you measure it correctly, as it was measured when I was in the government, is 5%. So you're getting 1.6%. So you're already eating your capital by investing in bonds. So this forces people then to spend their capital. Now then, they have to be very careful because they don't have any interest on their capital. And when they spend the capital, the amount shrinks so that even if interest rates rise, they've got less to collect interest on because they're having to consume it to live. So they're not going to be big spenders either. And then you come to the disadvantaged people dependent on the social safety net, food stamps and Medicaid and housing subsidies and various provisions for poor children and so on. And so the politicians, both parties, Democrats and Republicans, are slashing away at these benefits. States are trying to avoid their Medicaid responsibilities because they're busted. And so you then find that the downtrodden, the poorest elements of the consumer economy have their social assistance cut, and therefore that spending is reduced. So wherever you look, there's nothing to drive the economy. There's no consumer demand. For a while, they managed to cover it up with a great debt expansion. You know, they ran up the home prices with low interest rates, and people refinanced equity and took out bigger mortgages and spent the money. But now, of course, they're all over their heads in debt, and they can't do that any longer, so they can no longer use the expansion of debt as a substitute for the missing income growth. So the economy is simply dead in the water. It's not going to go anywhere. There's no way it can go anywhere. The 1% can't spend enough on yachts and Rolls Royces and $800,000 fountain pens to drive an economy. And therefore, it's dead. It's dead in the water. And
well, it really is true. If you throw enough people out of work, or you create a system of great underemployment,
you don't even have to throw them out. You just say, "Hey, look, you used to have a middle class income. Now we're going to give you a lower class."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.